Welcome. This is the Warminster Town Football Club Supporter Podcast, and once again, I'm your host, Roland Millward. Well, the fixtures have come thick and fast in this early part of the season, and many more to come. So we're looking forward to reviewing what's happened since our last podcast. We did have to miss one due to the workload really that we've had recently for the club and other things. So we're back now, and we hope you'll enjoy this podcast. We're going to feature an interview as well with the one and only Mr. Andrew Crabtree, manager of the men's team. And that was an interview recorded kindly by Ian Knockolls for the Toolstation Western League podcast, and he's given us full access to that interview, so do look forward to that. But first of all, we're going to be speaking to Jamie House. Hi Jamie, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm okay, thank you.
That's good to know, thank you. So good to have you back as usual. So we had to miss last week due to too many commitments on the go, getting the Red and Black newsletter ready, which has now gone out. So people should be able to read that in their email inbox.
Very good it is too.
So we've had 3 matches since we recorded the last podcast. So we had Sherborne came along to Weymouth Street for the most cracking game of football I've seen for a very long time anywhere, really. A 0-0, but fabulous end-to-end stuff, wasn't it?
Yes, it was a very exciting game, yeah.
And then we went to Titherington Rocks. Just love saying that name. The most unusual game there with 4 penalties. But we'll leave Andy Crabtree to talk about that one because we've got an interview from the Toolstation podcast that we've been able to utilise. So he'll talk about that game. But the last one we've seen, our little trip to see Lebec United. Didn't go too well overall, did it?
No, I think we should have got something out of the game. We had our chances. We unfortunately just didn't take them. It was a similar story at Titherington the week before, actually. Like you say, we got the 4 penalties and we won 4-0, all from those penalties. But we despite the amount of chances we had from open play in that game as well, we also didn't take them. So. It repeated itself again against Lebec, and we paid for it this time.
Yeah, so I'm sure Andy's going to be working on that really to get the ball in the back of the net, either from set pieces or from open play, because the shots are a little bit high, to say the least. A
lot went over the bar.
A tremendous amount in the first half went over the bar by quite a margin. So I'm sure that's something that he'll work on. But Lebec did look a dangerous side, didn't they? Especially the first half.
Well, they're very good. They have a lot of pacey players, and they're very quick on the break, and that's really where they got us.
Yeah.
They looked a dangerous side, but they did look quite tired towards the end of the game, and we sort of grew into the game a bit more towards the end. Obviously, we scored our goal in the second half, sort of about 20 minutes from the end, I think, roughly around there. Luke Johnson
came on,
lad on loan from Froomtown, getting his first goal. Yeah. Bit of a super sub.
Absolutely. Well, it was necessary. Then it did look like, providing we could hit the target, it looked like we could get at least a draw out of the game, didn't it? But
yes, unfortunately, I was going to say we started pressing a bit higher to try and get level again, and unfortunately, again they got us on the break because we were pressing so high up. But there we go.
That's it. So things to put right. We look forward to the next game, as they say, to see what happens. So all in all, it's not been a bad start to the season, but obviously a little bit of room for improvement there if we're going to try and catch up with the likes of some of the other teams that we'll talk about in a moment, who are absolutely romping away at the minute with wins galore and goals galore as well, some of them. So we'll take a break, Jamie, and we'll be back with you very shortly. We'll have a look at the league tables. Our club is run by an army of willing volunteers. But there's always room for more recruits. Can you offer your time to the club? Maybe you have a special skill that could be used. Perhaps just your time itself and your labour. It'll be absolutely fine. Please find out more by getting in touch with our chairman, David Parry, via his email address, which is chairman@warminstertownfc.com. That's chairman@warminstertownfc.com. We look forward to seeing you as a volunteer at our football club. It's now time to listen to the interview that was recorded by Ian Knockholes for the Toolstation Western League podcast. So let's see what Andy Crabtree has to say about things at Warminster Town Football Club.
Well, I'm delighted to welcome back to the Toolstation Western League podcast Andy Crabtree, the manager of Warminster Town. Andy, thanks very much for taking the time to join us. So 4-0 at the weekend. All 4 goals came from the penalty spot. Have you ever been involved in a game like that before?
Never. First one I can ever remember. All penalties in one half, to be honest. And it could have been 5. The first 3 were nailed on, but in between the 3rd and the 4th, I thought there was one that looked, watching it back on the highlights, which Roland so kindly does for us, that looked more of a penalty than the 4th one, but who am I? I can't moan. That's more penalties than we've had in the last 2 years.
You can't be greedy, can you? I mean, we on a serious note, we have to take our hat off to Ian Jeffrey because, there would come a point in time where you'd think normally that, he'd be due to miss one, but to put all 4 away is, that takes some doing.
Oh, without a doubt, we're on the sidelines, there's a few, I'm there with the assistant and the coach going, when are you going to go now then? We're discussing where he's going to put it. Fair play to him. He kept his cool, and I don't think the keeper got a hand on either one of them, so can't fault him for that. Ian's a good lad. We've had him for a couple of years now, and he is really a top man. Thank God we signed him on when we did, because he's a captain and he leads by example. So hats off to him.
Yeah, I mean he's an incredibly experienced player, isn't he? Obviously not just at the sort of the Western League level. I know he's played higher than that, and really you couldn't have asked for a better person to take them all because he has got not only the ability because he's a wonderful dead ball expert, but he's obviously got the temperament to be able to put them away.
Well, it's interesting because he's missed a few games, due to sort of family weddings and other holidays and whatever. And to be fair, when he's missed, his presence is missed in the changing room. And it does go noticed, especially by myself. I say, Nashi, my assistant, and Glenn, who's with us now, and Eddie as well. You can tell when he's not playing because you can hear him constantly. Before, whilst you're warming up, he's onto them. He's got standards and good standards as well. And it is good for us, especially young lads, because they look up to him.
Yeah, he's a cracking player. Now, that's the first time you'd played Titherington Rocks. Did that make it harder for you to prepare against them than the normal Western League opposition?
Well, like the previous week, really, because we played the other team, Bocco. And to be fair, they were very well organised, Bocco. He took us to the cleaners, to be fair. Fair play to them, they outplayed us on the day, and I got no complaints about that. Everybody knows at Western League level and at any level, if you've got 4 or 5 players, and we probably had 6 or 7 on the day that aren't at the races, you'll come a cropper, and we come a cropper, and they were at it, and fair play to them. They fully deserved their win, and they're a very nice club as well as our Titherington. Great bunch down there, looked after us well. Nothing was too much trouble for them. They were that generous, they gave us 4 penalties as well.
Just heading back to that defeat against Bocco, after that, of course, you had that midweek draw against Sherborne, and Sherborne have been in fantastic form since the start of the season. So, to be fair, that goalless draw doesn't look like such a bad result.
Oh, blimey. Well, when you're taking the fact that they'd scored 17 in 3 games, a 0-0 draw against them was quite an achievement, I'd say. They're a very good side, and they always have been. I think, and they'll be the first to admit, they probably underachieved last season, for the amount of games we played. They were in a false position, definitely, because they're always a difficult side to play against. I said they've been banging in goals for fun. So, and anybody was there was 152 there. And everybody who watched it, who I've spoken to, certainly a good advert for the Western League, Division 1. It was a fast-paced game, 2 teams, going for it. There was it was 0-0, but the chances were aplenty. So, it could have gone either way.
So what have you made of the quality of opposition you've come up against so far? I mean, I know it's still early days, but do you think that the standard in the First Division is getting a bit harder?
Looking at the league table last year, Caution were obviously a decent side. League tables don't lie. All those sides that have gone back well were always hard to play against. They'd give anybody a match on their days. And Carl, they finished top of the season before. And they were top. I think they were top again at Christmas when it all stopped. So, those teams were the three outstanding teams, and then you've got the likes of Radstock, Sherborne's, Wincanton as well. Were a decent side. And then there's many other teams. Anybody can beat anybody in this league, and that's what's good about it. I'd say this year, I'd say there's about 12 teams that could finish in the top four. Welton are there again. I forgot Welton, and I overlooked them. But they were well up the league last season as well. They were top, I think, or round about top till Christmas. And they're another side. They're very difficult to beat. So, Wells, on their day, they're a good match for anybody. Cheddar. There's lots of good teams in there. And I'm sorry if I've missed anybody, if I upset anybody. It's not... I'm doing this off the cuff, so yeah.
Let's look at your own form. Going into this season, what were your pre-season preparations like?
Absolute nightmare. Absolute. Anything that could go wrong went wrong. Games off for COVID, player unavailabilities, holidays, weddings. I'm no different than any other manager, I don't think. Because everything had been locked down for so long. Weddings, holidays, now it's school holidays. Just everything that could go wrong went wrong, basically. Players leaving. It's a struggle to get the same team out twice. And taking that into consideration, we've started really well. And I can't complain, to be honest, because I put in some younger lads, and they haven't disappointed. Certainly haven't let me down. And it now gives me a nice headache. Because I have to do I bring back the old guard, or do I put in the youngsters? And it makes your squad stronger, and it makes my job a lot easier. Although sometimes it's a headache.
I mean, it's a nice problem to have, but it does rather beg the question: what is a good season for Warminster Town?
When I first took over, they were bottom of the league. They were struggling. They were, in the depths of despair, to be honest. And luckily, we stayed in the league. The next season, I think we finished 7th. And we were a match for anybody that season. The next season, we had that really good run in the FA Bars. But our league form suffered a little bit through that, because I think you don't get a consistent run of games going in the league. We fell behind. We had a lot of games, and we got a lot of injuries after we went out of the Vars. And I think we were in a false position, really. And then last season, we started off not too bad. I think we were 6th or 7th when the season finished. I think if we can finish, if we can finish in the top 8, I'd like to finish in the top 4, but I'm not going to say we are going to, but I'd like to think we're capable of doing that. It's up to the boys, and it's, last week I can use it as an example now, because they haven't turned up, basically, and if you don't turn up, you'll lose games. As simple as that. And it's a good point for me to bring over to them and use it in a pre-match talk. If you don't turn up on the day, you'll get rolled over. Simple as that. And that's what happened. And full credit to Bocco for all that.
Well, they're going to have to turn up for the next couple of games. You've got Lebec up next, and then it's Odd Down at home. And they've started this campaign pretty well after coming down from the Premier Division. I mean, those are 2 difficult games for you, aren't they?
Oh yeah, every game's difficult. Everybody can, like I said, everybody can beat everybody, and we know full well. And I've got it into the players' heads, and they know full well. And last Saturday, they certainly come out Saturday. We got a little bit tired second half because we've had a hard game midweek. But we know what to expect, and we know we go to Le Boc and we will be up for it. There's no doubt in that. And obviously, with Odd down, they've come down to our league, but they've kept a lot of their players and they've recruited well. So we know that's going to be difficult, but we will be there on the day and we will do our best and hopefully get something from that game.
Now, whenever I speak to you, Andy, there's always a lot going on at Warminster Town. And even during lockdown, we spoke to one of your players, Owen Bartley, about his fundraising activities for your local food bank. I see that your YouTube channel is back, and your podcast is back, and your supporters newsletter is back. So it's not a bad time to be a Warminster Town fan, is it?
No, it certainly isn't. You know, there's always something going on. I mean, the other week, one of the lads that helps run the reserves has got a bad illness, and the reserve team played a friendly against one of the local sides, and it was well supported because it was straight after a first team game, and all the first team lads stayed on and supported it, and I think they raised over £2,000 for that charity. So that's a tremendous effort from everybody involved. I'm not. It's a great cause. So.
No, that's absolutely right, Andy. And I mean, I think we should also give a notable mention to your ladies' team. I mean, we appreciate we don't normally talk about that on the Western League podcast, but I know it's a very important part of Warminster Town Football Club, and I mean they're pretty handy, aren't they?
Well, believe it or not, Roland, I went and watched Warminster Town ladies play in the FA Cup final many moons ago when I was about 15. They played at Dunstable against Southampton, believe it or not. But I remember going. They lost 2-0. But I remember it, all them years ago. And one of our lads is actually coaching the ladies, Lewis Graham. And they have got some exceptional players, and I expect them to do well this year again. And it wouldn't surprise me if they don't go up another league, because they are, they're buzzing. And they are an important part of the club as our reserve side, and we've got a nice atmosphere at the club, and it's nice to have that buzz back around the place again. It's a community club, and it certainly feels like a community club at the minute.
That's absolutely right. Always one of the warmest welcomes in the Western League, Andy. Thank you very much indeed for your time, and I hope that we've unearthed a few more fans who will have a look at a day out at Warminster and come and enjoy what you have to offer.
They're more than welcome, and thank you very much again.
Once again, a big thank you to Ian Knockholes for allowing us to use that interview. And now it's back to the league tables with Jamie House. Right, we're back with Jamie. So, Jamie, let's have a little review of how the league table is looking for us now.
Okie dokie. Well, Welton Rovers are still top of the league. They're really romping away at the top now, having played 8 games, won 7 of them, and only drawn 1. They're one of only 2 teams now that haven't actually had a defeat. The other one being AEK Boco, who also have 0 losses. So they're top with. So Welton Rovers top with 22 points, goal difference of 13. So they're scoring a few as well. Cheddar are currently second. Back when they joined the league, I think they were kind of like the team to beat, and then they've had a sort of shaky last couple of seasons, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, a bit up and down, hasn't it?
Yeah, a bit up and down. Yeah. So they're back up there, having played 7. They've won 6 and lost 1. Bishop Sutton are third on 16 points. Oldland Abertonians are 4th, also on 16 points, having played 9 games. And AEK Boco round out the top 5, having played 7 and won 4 and drawn 3 on 15 points. And Sherborne are they're still the top goal scorers, or sort of scored the most goals in the league so far, because their goal difference is still 15.
Yeah.
So they're fairly high up, and they've only played 6 games so far in the league. They've won 4, drawn 1, and lost 1. We are currently smack bang in the middle of the table at the moment, down in 10th after our defeat away at Lebec, and obviously other games that went on today, obviously on Bank Holiday Monday. And Almondsbury are still bottom of the leaderboard at the moment, as they haven't picked up a single win yet. They've got 7 defeats and only 1 draw, so they have got a point. Every team does have a point now, which is something. Devizes Town are currently 20th. They're just above them. Also played 8 and also yet to register a win. Wincanton are 19th, which is quite surprising. They're a decent size, so I'm quite surprised to see them down there. They have only played 5 games. They've lost 3, won 1 and drawn 1. Hengrove are 18th and Bishop's Lydiard are in 17th as they round out the bottom 5.
Yes. So that's halfway point, still able to play for Warminster. So, it's not too many points off. The majority, obviously, Welton are stonking it a little bit. Have to go like great guns to catch them up at the moment. But,
yes.
Sort of certainly get, pull the Bishop, Sutton, Oldland and all those others back if we get a few wins together. So I'm sure that could well come about. I'm sure Andy's got his eye on the prize there for that. So that's it. So, Jamie, we'll look forward to more football. And, of course, we've got an FA Vars coming up in September as well. So the first qualifying round. And we'll be reporting on that, as well as the ladies the day after. We're on the 11th of September. The ladies on the 12th for their FA Cup qualifier as well, isn't it? So
yeah, it's a big weekend for cup games for Warminster.
Big weekend for Warminster Town. So I know coaches are being run. So if anybody hasn't responded to the messages going out yet, do check with our chairman, Dave Parry, or if you're at the ground, obviously just check if you can get a seat on the coach. If there are any left, if you'd like to go by coach to either of those games. So, Jamie, thank you once again for joining us. Appreciate your time, and we look forward to speaking to you soon. Well, there goes the final whistle, and that brings this week's podcast to an end. We've hoped you enjoyed the Warminster Town Football Club supporter podcast. So before you go, if you haven't done so already, please do subscribe using your favourite platform. Thanks for listening.